Hi guys, welcome back to The Baseline. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you guys are having a great day, a great night, a great life. So, does it feel like every week the mask just slips off a little bit more? And you see how the people in power really play this game. They preach discipline, they demand sacrifice, they wag their fingers at the rest of us for not meeting a specific standard. But then, when the spotlight turns around, the rules, they mysteriously stop applying to them. And you can feel where this is going, right? Because when it comes to Donald Trump, gosh, the gap between the myth and the man is wide enough to drive a convoy through. Now, what's the headline circulating? Well, it's this. Gavin Newsom just went directly at Trump's greatest insecurity. Watch this clip, guys, and then let's dive in.
It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are.
All right, so Gavin Newsom goes after Trump's biggest insecurities. And it just happens to be his appearance. Not his policies, not his rallies, it's his image. And that's not just petty politics. I mean, it is, but this is about exposing hypocrisy that's been staring us in the face for a number of years now. So let's set the stakes, okay? Let's set it up clearly, because Pete Hegseth, one of Trump's biggest cheerleaders, just gave a speech railing against fat troops. And even more dangerously, I don't know why he did this, but fat generals. He said it was embarrassing for America. So his solution: mandatory height and weight checks, PT tests twice a year for everyone in uniform. And it sounds tough. It sounds disciplined, right? Until you remember the commander-in-chief they worship so much, Donald J. Trump, doesn't exactly meet that standard. And here's where the first twist comes in. And it's something that nobody really expected. Because Gavin Newsom didn't just shrug this off. He clapped back. He pointed out the obvious, that if Trump himself were held to the same standard his own allies are pushing on the military, he'd fail miserably. Now, Newsom even threw in a McDonald's photo for good measure. So let's pause for a second, just for a moment with me, because this isn't about fat jokes. It's not about body shaming. This is about power. Trump built his entire career mocking other people's looks. So Rosie O'Donnell was a quote unquote fat pig. Marco Rubio was Little Marco. Joe Biden was Sleepy Joe. And for Trump, insults are a weapon, right? So when someone flips the script, it cuts deeper than policy or criticism ever could, right? And here's the part that really blew my mind, right? Because Trump's whole brand is an illusion stitched together by image consultants. You know, the oversized suits to hide his shape, the hair dye to fight off his gray, the orange makeup to cover up certain bruises, and the lifts in his shoes are there to make him look taller. So even the lies about his height and weight exist, right? Every detail is curated when it comes to Trump, because his power depends on projection. It's like watching a stage magician who insists he's levitating, but you can see the wires pulling him up. And here's where everybody really gets upset and outraged, right? Because it isn't just that Trump lies. It's that his supporters weaponize discipline against ordinary Americans while excusing their leader's total lack of it. So soldiers are told they'll be kicked out if they can't meet the scale. But the guys giving the actual orders, he's free to live above those rules. So let's flip this around just a bit, because there's something bigger going on here, right? Because this is about how authoritarian leaders actually operate. They create impossible standards for the people and the constituency, while exempting themselves from actual accountability. It's straight out of the playbook of every empire that eventually collapsed. If we look back and, to Roman emperors who demanded purity from their legions while they themselves drowned in excess, that would be an interesting example of an empire that declined in the way that we're talking about. And here's where the humor kind of sneaks into all this, right? Because Trump calling for discipline in the military is like your drunk neighbor demanding quiet hours at 3 a.m. while blasting Bon Jovi out of his garage. The hypocrisy is so loud it drowns itself. But let's validate the deeper feeling here, right? Because for decades, average Americans have been told to tighten their belts, work harder, eat better, pass the test, sacrifice. Meanwhile, a lot of the elites, they glide by completely untouched. And Trump, for all his populist bluster, plays the same game. So this is where we have to open this up a bit, right? Because if hypocrisy has always been a part of Trump's act, why does this particular angle sting so much? Well, the answer might be simpler than we think, because it attacks the one thing he values the most, the illusion of strength. So think about it. He doesn't care if you call him a fraud. He doesn't care if you call him corrupt. But mock the image, question the brand, now suddenly you've touched a nerve. So here's the thing. This isn't really about Trump's weight at all. It's about projection. He calls others weak to mask his own fragility. He mocks others to shield his own insecurity. And when leaders build power on a foundation of smoke and mirrors, the first gust of truth can bring it all crashing down. Now, the hope here is this. Hypocrisy exposed is power diminished. Hypocrisy exposed is power diminished. Every time the double standard gets dragged into daylight, people see just a little bit clearly. And challenges, yeah, of course they're going to lie ahead. And yep, the system is still apparently stacked, but clarity is the first crack in the armor of manipulation. And the part that should keep all of us up is this. If a leader can't pass the very test his own allies demand of the people, how long before the illusion actually collapses? And who will be waiting to fill the vacuum when it does? All right, guys, do I have this all right? Do I have it all wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. I value your opinion and I reply and read all the comments. Thanks so much again for watching The Baseline, guys, and we'll catch you the next round. Okay, cheers, everybody.